Welcome everybody to another episode and a new season of the Focus and Bloom podcast. Today we're going to be diving into how to set smarter goals, and I'll be going over these 3 things for you to think about as we get ready for the start of a new quarter. So number 1, how you should set your goals so that your work becomes more effective. Number 2, discuss the process of setting smart and smarter goals. And number 3, we'll put these smarter goals to work for you so you can feel more confident when thinking about setting your goals for yourself and your business. I know that time is of the essence, so let's get started. Hola creators, I'm Yesenia Bocanegra, founder of Focus and Bloom Studios. I'm a photographer turned marketing strategist who took a leap of faith, moved over 3,000 miles away from home with 1 camera and 1 heavy suitcase filled with dreams. If you're a creative soul and dream maker, this podcast is for you. Here I share actionable tips and tactics on marketing, business, and mindset to help you grow and up-level your business with purpose and lots of joy, 1 action item at a time. Get comfortable and let's get started. This is the Focus and Bloom podcast. So before starting to learn what the smarter goals are and how you can set them and then finally achieve them, let's just start with this quote by C.S. Lewis that says, "You are never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream." Ultimately, what matters here is how you work to achieve those goals, how you work to achieve those dreams, and if you so desire, how you work to achieve those dreams in any season of your life, no matter what. So now it's time to dive into today's main theme for this episode, this first season 3 episode. So let's define what smarter goals actually mean. You may have already heard me talk about SMART goals in a previous episode of the Focus and Bloom podcast. These stand for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based or time-bound. So I mentioned this in actually episode 2 of the Focus and Bloom podcast, but today we're going to talk about smarter goals and just adding that letter E and the R, which stands for evaluate and readjust. So let's go ahead and break this the smarter way. See what I did there? So let's say a big goal for you is to grow your photography business. And this is a valid but broad approach. A smarter approach would look something like S for specific. So your specific goal as it relates to growing your photography business is to increase the amount of portrait clients you want to welcome to your business, or how many wedding photography clients you want to welcome in a year. So you need to think what your specific goal is and remind yourself that by having a specific goal, you have a purpose to fulfill. You can write this down because actually when you write it down, it helps you visualize it. And I mean, we're visual people, so it kind of makes it work better. So remember, energy flows where intention goes. So write up those goals. Next up is the letter M. Now that you know what M stands for, which is measurable, and the smarter goal system, let's go ahead, take a look what measurable goal is. Let's say you have given yourself a specific task, which will be booking 1 new client within 4 weeks. In doing so, you now have a measurable goal to accomplish within 4 weeks. Now, how can said goal help you in your business or in your personal growth and in different aspects of your life? Let's say you have a goal to scale your business. We just mentioned you're going to book 1 client within the month, but you haven't set a specific time frame in which you accomplish it. So you have simply decided, I want to book 1 more client, and that's going to be your next goal. Well, it is a valid goal, but the problem is that you haven't really measured you haven't set that measured portion of your goal. So you can definitely book 1 client, but then if you don't set that time, that measurable amount of time, then you're not going anywhere, because then you actually might end up getting discouraged if it doesn't happen anytime soon. So you would say, well, then let me start with another goal. And here, what this will actually create is that you now have probably 2 incomplete goals. And that's just, this typically ends up happening when you have a lack of clarity and lack of strategy. So you want to make sure that you are setting goals that are specific enough, but you can measure that type of goal in a particular way. So That could be increasing your Instagram followers, getting one new client, getting a new lead. But again, you have that specificity to measure your goal by. By setting those measurable goals, not only does it make your work more effective, but it gives you the freedom to decide what is the next best move. So the next thing would be attainable. We just talked about setting a particular time limit for a particular goal. So once you are done deciding that particular time for completion of your first goal, we said 1 month, you will then be ready to set some achievable goals. Well, thinking about this, I would like for you to think of in small bits first, like a piece of a larger puzzle. So you don't worry too much on those 1 year big goals for now. Let's just focus on 1 week goals. When breaking down your goals into smarter chunks of time, let's say weeks instead of months or a year, you make your goals much more achievable because you can break down the tasks needed to be done in order for the big goal to be completed. It's like when you're thinking about picking up yoga. A lot of people get very intimidated by the idea of not being able to do certain poses because they're not flexible enough. In reality, by practicing yoga often, you then begin to train your body to move certain ways and tell your muscles to react in a certain way so that you can then complete those specific poses. Another advantage of this is that in case you get sidetracked or, life gets in the way, or you just can't complete that small task, doesn't mean that you can't achieve that particular goal. How many of you missed a day in school and still made it through graduation? Let me just say, I was quite the nerd in high school that there was a time where I did not want to miss a class, even if I was sick or running a fever. And I still graduated with high honors. So same thing applies with your goals. When thinking of attainable goals, what we need to think of is what we need to set goals which are achievable within a realistic and particular time frame. Therefore, you need to give your goal a completion enough time for it to be achieved, enough time for it to be completed, but not too much time that it becomes irrelevant or you just end up wasting your time or maybe your interest. So for example, you have to prepare content for your 3 weekly videos to share on Instagram. This goal is achievable in 1 day, and even if you give yourself just 4 to 6 hours of that day, this goal is still achievable. But if you end up giving yourself 3 days for just 1 minute of 3 videos, then it will become kind of like a time waster for yourself. And you can even make this in a lot less time too. Just putting a general time frame here. So we're talking about video content and preparing content in any form, be it for, any content for pictures, graphics, IGTV, Instagram Reels, TikToks, that is relevant to what you do and the services you offer. Next in the SMART-E.R goal system is R for relevant. For example, depending on which platform you're tuning into, you are here whether you're just listening to the podcast or viewing it on YouTube because it is relevant to your business. And since we're here, I want to give you a thank you for listening to the Focus and Bloom podcast. And if you like the content I'm sharing here, go ahead and share it with a friend who might be interested and leave us a review. So let's say it's that day of the week where you put together your weekly or monthly content based on what you do. You'll probably be creating content that is educational, entertaining, inspiring, and content that is driving sales. When planning, you want to ensure that the content you're putting out there is driven by your business goals and serves your specific audience's pinpoint problems. The next letter is letter T, which stands for time bound. Unfortunately, we only have 24 hours in a single day. So if you want to get the most out of it, you'll need to plan and prioritize your goals. In doing so, you can actually save a lot of time. And by that, you can be disciplined throughout the specific time frame, more productive, and you will likely get more done. Last year, I started adopting the calendar blocking system where I would plan out my day from start to finish. And, I'm an Enneagram 7, which is the creative one. And I'm also always up for a challenge. And my second number, the wing, is 3. So I'm the analytical one, and that's a kind of weird combo because like I'm all over the place and I'm organized. But going back to the calendar blocking, once I started doing this, I felt so much more in control of my week, and I felt that I was being more productive, and I was actually taking advantage of my most productive times. It's not for everybody because I totally get the idea of being stuck and prisoner of your own calendar, but doing this, I started making sure that I make time for myself. And while sometimes that sort of falls off the bandwagon, it still really gives me a good visual of what I'm going to be working on throughout the week. One thing I used to do was answer emails in the morning and wait until later in the day to do so because I know that I will want to address anything that is requested of me within those emails, which will alter my plan for later in the day. So it's just a matter of organizing your day. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into visible. That's what Tony Robbins says. Earlier in the episode, we talked about allowing yourself enough time to complete a project or a task, but not too much time that it becomes irrelevant. So that brings me to the next letter E, evaluate. Evaluating is important in business because it lets you know the performance of every plan or goal that you have put in place. So raise your hand if you have taken the time to look at your Instagram insights for the past month. Do you know what is the most liked post or the type of post that resonates most with your audience? Do you know where your main audience resides? By evaluating your performance, you'll have a better understanding of what is happening in your business, which will then help you make better educated decisions. If you're ever struggling to know what content to post on social media, take a look at what you've already posted and see what has more likes, engagements, more shares, and also you can even ask your audience. Directly ask your audience how you can best help them and then determine if your efforts are meeting their needs. Which brings me to the final letter R, readjust. So far, you have set a specific goal that is attainable and relevant to your business. You'll then measure it within a certain time frame and evaluate the results and then readjust. When thinking of readjusting, I don't mean to throw away your goals and swap them for new ones. No. Readjusting means to find a different plan so you can achieve those specific goals. Readjusting can mean changing your time frame for the completion of your project. It could be readjusting your goals because your original goal, you said you wanted to photograph 10 weddings and you actually know you can do 12. Well, it can also mean that you need to do market research to figure out exactly who your niche is, your audience is, and determine how you can best serve them. Readjusting can also mean readjusting your mindset and turning it from an I cannot do this to yes, I can. Last year, we saw many businesses reinvent themselves, and the keyword was pivot. Start from scratch and pivot to just adapt to the situation and move forward in building and growing your business. So make sure you always take time to evaluate where you are, and you can feel confident that the energy that you're being put into is in the right direction and that you're doing so in alignment to what your goals and your purpose is. Remember, work smarter, not harder. I believe sharing is caring. So if you have found this episode helpful, don't keep it a secret and share it with someone who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe and check out today's episode show notes at focusandbloomstudios.com/show notes. Until next time, take care.